Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome to another episode of How to Build. This is a series where I show you all of my For Honor characters and basically teach you guys what I do to make them so that you yourselves can make them in your own gameplay. So today we are going to be talking about Akikaze Ichizo, my Aramusha character that I just recently released a legend video about. A couple of you have said that you really liked the legend video, and I'm glad to hear that because today we're going to talk about how to make him. So if you guys want to know how to build your own Akikaze Ichizo, then today is your lucky day so that we can talk about it. Let's not waste any time and get right into the good stuff. So first and foremost, for his armor, you're going to want the Thousand Eyes helm. For his chest, you're going to want the Gyoke chest and the Gyoke arms. Now you might think to yourself, Raven, why don't we get the Gyoke helm? Well, there are two reasons. The first is I don't have it yet. Honestly. But the second is I don't like the facial hair for it. I don't think the facial hair works well for what we're going with here. We're looking for a young man, because the way that I wanted to design Akikaze, he's a young man who is still trying to define what his honor looks like. At first, honor was just obedience for him, which it is for most samurai. You know, it's all about obedience, doing what you're supposed to do. But he learns over time that that is not necessarily what defines a solid or honorable person. Being honorable, according to Richard, is knowing what you believe in and trusting your righteous judgment. And so that is what Akikaze decides to follow as a Ronin. He decides to do it himself. So this helm, I felt, shows him a little bit younger, a little bit more humble. I thought that it worked a lot better. Plus, I'm not a big fan of the super big hats. Like, if you look at some of the hats, like, they can get really big, and I'm not a big fan of those, like this one especially. That just looks silly to me. I know that some people like it, but stuff like that just looks really goofy. I thought that this one, the Thousand Eyes helm, probably looks the best if you had to pick one at all, so I definitely would go with that one. Honestly, I don't even think you need the straw hat. I think it would work better without, but whatever the case. All right, so armor aside, what about swords? I use the Deceitful Kato, blade, hilt, and guards because they honestly look really good. I like the serrated pattern on them. It makes it look a little bit more wild. I think any blade set that has a serrated pattern will look just fine, so I would definitely go with those if you had to make a choice. So and I also think that color-wise, they're going to match the color scheme that you're going to go with. So, in conclusion, Thousand Eyes helm, Gyoke chest, Gyoke arms, Deceitful Kaito blade, hilt, and guards. Okay? Awesome. You got how to make our good old Akikaze. Next, let's move on to traits. Traits, default 1, skin color, default. You're going to want it to just be the default here. I don't normally break convention with that. If you want to make him a different one, you can always go with the really bright light, but we're going with how I feel he should look as one of the samurai. Okay. Next, head. No paint pattern, no symbol. I'm going to keep it real simple for you there. For the right shoulder, you want the Northern Ice number 2 paint pattern, which you get from the Northern Dragon Illustrious outfit. Okay? So you're going to want to get the Northern Dragon Illustrious outfit and get Northern Ice 2. No symbol, no embossing, just the paint pattern. The left shoulder is going to be Apotropic Spell 1, which you would have gotten from the Monsters of the Otherworld event week 3. Which was a Halloween event some time ago. Now, if you did not play that event game mode, if you were not part of that, that is fine. You can still use the previous one that I just talked about here with Northern Ice 2. It will work just as well. But I wanted to put a dragon and fire on both sides, so I thought that would fit very nicely. For the chest and back, you want the Fan 3 paint pattern, which you get at Reputation 27, level 10. And you want the Sun Haze emblem, which you got by owning the Year 1 Heroes bundle. I like this one because of the way that the circle is drawn. It looks like a paint smear, which I think very much runs in contrast with the overall paint pattern. I think that looks really good. But I know some of you are probably thinking, what if I don't have that? There's an easy one to replace it with. You can always go with either the 4 pips, which you get at Reputation 22, or you can go with the flower coin, which you can get at Reputation 14. Either one will work well. What you really want is that circular dark emblem to cover up, okay? So that's probably going to be what you want. No embossing, obviously. And for standard, you're going to want the Scorched Hill paint pattern, which you get at level 1, so you should get this right off the bat, pretty easy. And for your embossing, you're going to want the Might of Wyverndale, which you got from the Year 4 Season 1 Battle Pass. If you do not have that Battle Pass, it's okay. It can be replaced with Wisdom and Strength, which you get at Reputation 3, level 20. That one is a good substitute. Or you can go with the Turtle or Serpent, which you get at Reputation 17, level 20, and Reputation 18, level 20. Any of those are good substitutes, but I like the Might of Wyverndale for this. All right, All right, so let's move on to ornament. Obviously, there's no ornament because there's nothing on top of the hat. I just don't think you need anything on top of the hat. I think putting stuff on top of the hat for the most part looks silly. There are a few exceptions to this rule, like I think Dark Laughter looks okay. I think Curious Combat looks okay. Mizuuchi looks okay. And there's one other one, but I don't think I have it because I don't think I got that. Yeah, I didn't get the outfit, but those are the only ones that really look good to me, and I didn't want any on this guy right here, okay? So now for material. Material, you're going to want the tar material. I feel like the tar material looks best because the only thing that it's really going to impact is the hat. And honestly, you don't really need anything for the hat, really. You could just take it off entirely and it would look just fine. In fact, it looks really good this way. But I feel like with the tar, it gave it this worn feel. Like parts of it are sleek and shiny, like it used to be new. And now it's starting kind of to wear and tear along some of the areas. So I thought that looked really good. You could also replace it with black. Or with dark brown. Any of these darker colors I think would be fine. I just went with tar because I think that works a little bit better in this case. But honestly, you do you in that regard. Not really a big deal on the material here because frankly, if you look at it, yeah, the material isn't going to really matter all that much overall. All right, so for colors, you've been waiting for it. Colors are the Yokai Invasion set from the Yokai Nightmare Event Pass. I hope you all have that. Now, the reason I chose this color set is not because of Halloween or anything like that. I chose it because it's a very autumn feel. If you didn't get it, Akikaze in Japanese means autumn wind. So fall wind. And I wanted this guy to embody the idea of autumn or fall. So I wanted a color scheme that would work well. But if you don't have this, that's fine. It can be subbed out with the Blackstone Elite, which you get from doing the Metal Trials event, which you should have been a part of. And if you don't have that, you can do Sweet Treat, which you got during the Monsters of the Otherworld event. All of those will work fine. The goal here is to find one that works well for autumn. You could also do Transit Umbra, which you get from the Black Prior's Riposte event. Yeah, genuinely, you want something with a good orange and black or orange and red feel. You want something that feels warm like autumn, okay? So that's really what you're trying to go for here. I just felt that the Yokai Invasion set looked best for this, but get that color scheme that gives that autumn feel, that good, nice, crisp fall feel. That will lead into our feats. Okay, so our feats. We gave him Deadly, which allows his attacks to deal slightly more damage every 3 seconds. I like this one for Akikaze because his anger and rage at what happened to the village of Izu led him to fight even harder and fight even more desperately to defend them, which adds to that attack idea. Short-tempered, you deal more damage for a short duration after taking damage from an enemy. So the idea was like he got hit, so he's going to hit even harder. And I like combining Deadly and Short-tempered anyway because it means that you do more damage by dealing damage and by taking damage. So you're constantly raising your damage output regardless of what happens to you. So I really think that works well for any Aramusha, but I think it works very well for Akikaze. I gave him Second Wind because that's kind of what Akikaze does, doesn't it? Like he gets his second wind, he comes back and tries again. But if you want to give him a different one, you could go with Sharpened Blade. That's the only one I would give, but I think Second Wind fits more for his story. And then finally, I gave it Fear itself because he is very good at intimidation tactic because at the very end of the story, he intimidates and challenges the Orochi to fight him and leaves them outside, and when they see who it is, it kind of freaks them out. So I thought Fear itself would work well, but you could also go with Stalwart Banner or Aerostorm. Any of those would work. I just thought that Fear itself worked best given his story. Now, for his executions, I gave them In the Forearm. I gave him this one because it has him chop off the arm, which he does twice in his story, chopping off someone's arm. So I thought that would work very well since he kind of has a thing for taking off limbs. I thought that would work very well. We have Sayuri, which is a very quick execution. And honestly, when you're surrounded by enemies, you need those quick executions to get the death done, and I thought that this worked well. Plus, there was a moment in the story where he's fighting a Shugoki where he sinks down to one knee to deliver the final blow, and he does that here, so I thought that would fit. I gave him Flawless Execution, another very quick kill, and taking off of the head, taking off that head, being very smooth and fast. One of the things that I really wanted to do with his executions and make him seem flowing. I want him to feel like he's flowing and moving swiftly and methodically like the wind, and I thought this worked very well. And then finally, Ryu no Sachinouchi, which again makes him look like he's moving fluidly, moving with the wind and with the flowers. I thought that all of that worked very well for who Akikaze is. Now, if you wanted a different one, you could also go with, where was it? You could go with Bare Hand Beatdown, although he very rarely uses his hands. And you could go with Twin Dragons. Those are the other two that I would trade out, because I think that they move very swiftly and fluidly as well. Okay, so Now, you probably noticed that there are some effects there. We'll get to the effects, but let's get through the emotes and signature first. For emotes, I use Ronin Mawashi, show that respect, and throw it down. His frustrations at his own failures, his frustrations as a wandering Ronin are displayed here. It's a little comical, but I thought that it would work. And I almost did Omi Datai, but I didn't feel it. For combat, stay sharp and chin up. I only use those because I couldn't think of anything else I really wanted to give him. I suppose you could give him Subarashi or Slice and Dice. I think those might work well as well, but otherwise I think that stay sharp and chin up are fine. For signature, I gave him Snack Time. You know, after he kind of found his definition of honor, after he kindly realized who he was, he's a lot more relaxed now. He's not nearly as hung up about his failures or his issues. So I figured, yeah, he now takes a load off. He's finished the fight. He's going to take a load off, get some food in. I thought that worked very well. So it is his snack time. If you want to use a different one, Allegiance to the Mire is also a good one because his duty was always to the Mire and always to the Emperor. That's why he was willing to betray Buntaro. So I thought that either Snack Time or Allegiance to the Mire would be the best ones for him. And then finally for the effect, you've been waiting for it. You don't have to do anything for the idol or the emotes, but for the execution, you want Autumn Fall for all of them because it creates this great effect of autumn leaves flowing around him and dancing around him. That to me is the best one you could give him for this because throughout his fights, he's always fighting with the leaves falling around him. And yeah, some of you may be thinking, you know, this feels familiar to me. I feel like I've seen this before. Yes, I will admit, Akikaze is very much inspired by the Ghost of Tsushima story in terms of not only the color scheme, but also kind of the story. There was a lot of inspiration taken from Ghost of Tsushima. I thought this worked in a great way. So yes, absolutely, I feel like this is what you want for Akikaze if you choose to make him. And that pretty much wraps it all up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making Akikaze. He is such an awesome character. I really want to do more with his story. Maybe I will. I loved having him meet Richard Blackthorne and becoming a friend of his. So we may go even further with that. He may even run into an enemy at some point. This may be a very creative story that we flow with. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know in the comments. Are you planning on making Akikaze yourself? Do you like his story? Do you like the way he's designed? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.